the show sold out within like a handful of hours.
Yes.
And we were like, there's like 4 seats in here. Like anyone could be sold out. Unsurprising to me that we cast 2 kids that worked the room at the auditions the least. I could be doing other things and probably making more money doing those things.
Sure.
Like,
It's Broadway, bitch.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to It's Broadway, Bitch. It's me. It's Casey, your host. We are missing producer Mike today, but that is okay because we've got an excellent guest. I'm going to read some of these credits. A director, Obie and Drama Desk Award winner, currently directing Well, I'll Let You Go, running until June 30th.
yeah.
June 30th.
20th.
Okay, running till June 20th at the Studio Seaview Theater, which is a great little theater. Uncle Vanya, Grangeville, Clarkston, Danger and Opportunity, Animal Kingdom, The Upcoming Savior, and so many more. I have Jack Serio here.
Hi.
Yay!
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Is it always a trip like when you hear like all your credits kind of read in succession?
It's
Are you
mortifying.
like, holy crap, I've done so much?
Yeah, it's that, and it's also it's just working in the theater is so embarrassing sometimes, and you're like, God,
I know.
It's like, God, I made all those plays. People had to sit through all those plays.
I know. Sometimes being a creative, you're like, oh my God, this is. If I knew me, I'd be like, shut up.
Yeah, totally. I totally understand.
But I love it. Well, it's a lot of good stuff, and I know it's kind of built this basically like reputation for you about first off being somebody that people want to work with, but also you kind of have this. You work in a lot of these intimate spaces.
Yeah.
They're interactive. They're actor driven. What's up with that?
Yeah, that's a good. It's a good question. I think it came about initially because I'm a pretty restless guy.
Sure.
I graduated from NYU with my BFA from Playwrights Horizons Theater School in 2018 and had this kind of weird amount of time before the pandemic kind of brought theater to a halt. I had like a year and a half-ish. And I was applying for fellowships and assistant directing jobs and getting very little of it.
Sure.
I made very little theater during that period of time. And then that restlessness kind of was only compounded by the pandemic. And I came out of it feeling like I need to hire myself and start making my own work.
Yeah.
Which I had done a little bit growing up in Boston. I had like a little theater company that I had made with my friends. I had kind of minored in producing at NYU and worked in general management. So I was kind of familiar with it, but hadn't anticipated I would be doing so much of it.
Yeah.
And I say all of this because most of my work, especially the last couple of years, has been stuff that I have had a hand in producing.
Oh, cool.
And I didn't have kind of access to big spaces.
Right.
A lot of it was born out of a kind of financial and practical necessity that then kind of became married with an artistic interest, which was I wanted to make work. These were the spaces that were available to me. Many of them, at least kind of the first ones, weren't theaters. That production of Uncle Vanya was in a loft. That production of Danger and Opportunity you talk about was in a basement, in the East Village basement.
Yeah.
And I got excited about what it could be like to be really close and up inside of a play and kind of bear witness to extraordinary acting. Right there in front of you.
Right there.
And that became, I guess, kind of one of the hallmarks that people think about with my work, which I'm very flattered that anyone thinks anything about it. But I just kind of became obsessed with like, boy, let's just watch actors be virtuosic. And if you're really up close to that, that's exciting and not something we need a lot of money or resources to be able to do.
Yeah, that kind of answers another question I was wondering, because when you see all these kind of like intimate spaces that you played, I wondered what came first, like the vision or the space? Because like, can you even look at a play and begin to start to direct it without knowing where it's going to be?
I can't really.
Right.
To me, where we're doing the show is like casting. Like it's as important as any other part of it.
It's character.
And I really try to tailor make these shows for these spaces. And there have been plays, Well, I'll Let You Go being one of them, that from the beginning I was kind of adamant not being a small space.
Really?
I felt like it had this kind of sprawl and scope to it. Bubba writes about it being set in a kind of empty theater, and that, like negative space felt really important for that show, and it wasn't something I felt like we could pull off in a small space. Whereas Danger and Opportunity was conceived, this play I did about a gay couple who invites a woman into their marriage, and we're kind of in the living room for it. And we staged in the East Village basement. That play was conceived exactly for that space. That the kind of idea was, let's put ourselves in this apartment, kind of as like voyeurs watching this thing happen.
Yeah.
But it comes up all the time. There's stuff I think about. There's plays that I want to make that want to be on a big stage, and those sometimes have to wait longer.
Yeah.
Because you can't just bootstraps the show together.
That's true. I like that. I mean, I think a lot of people will identify with wanting to do something, but financially being like, well, what I can afford is this gym, locker, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like it is, and then kind of like being like, well, what could be cool about doing a show here? I think that's a very interesting thing in the space of how do we get things made and where do we get things made? It's like, well, what can you afford? What do you have access to? And what can fit there?
Yeah.
It's cool.
And it's the tailoring of the two things. I feel it has to mean something to be experiencing the play in that way.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there's a dissonance. There can be a dissonance between the play and the kind of room it's being presented in. And it feels like someone had a loftier vision for what this play might be, and it's had to be kind of restricted and contained by the resources that we had to put it on.
Like the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow.
Oh my God, exactly like that. It didn't quite meet the room.
Right.
But I was excited, when I did that Uncle Vanya, we lit a good part of the show with just candles, and it was like real candlelight for the whole show, for that whole kind of section of the show. And that was both something that was, inexpensive, and there was no stage lighting in that show, but also an idea that was born out of the text, that there was a big storm, and we thought, well, I wonder if the power goes off during the storm, and then what do they have for light then out in the countryside? So it was candles. So that was a kind of an example of marrying the kind of economic restraint with an artistic idea or imperative.
Yeah. I love that detail, though, of being like, we're going to read here and figure out how we can make it work in these things, like being like storm, candlelight. Like I just, as somebody who just doesn't, I don't have the director mind, so I wouldn't read that and never think like this, so it's really cool to see how you make these small spaces an event, and you make them feel bigger than the small spaces, which is that obviously the goal, to make it go beyond the small space and make it feel bigger.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's right. I suppose because I came up having to produce a lot of the stuff on my own, there is a like marketing like voice in my head sometimes. And this thing has happened post-pandemic where when I moved to New York, the place to be were like not-for-profit off-Broadway was where all the incredible, cool, exciting work was happening.
I feel like that's happening now too.
Yeah,
I feel like we're back to
I think it's starting to totally come back.
Yeah.
But this thing happened where right after COVID, all these not-for-profits were producing, were so there was a period of contraction. They were producing half as much work as they used to be. And work that maybe felt less daring or ambitious as it once was, because they were just trying to keep the lights on. And it's sometimes hard to take a gamble when you've got to keep the lights on.
I mean, that's the main theme of the more I talk to people, everyone's just kind of like,
yeah, how hard it is.
How hard it is. Yeah.
I mean, and kind of ironically, I think ones that maybe did gamble have found themselves very successful, because sometimes the shows that seem like the biggest gamble pay off. All that is to say, I think a bunch of folks started taking producing into their own hands post-pandemic, and you've seen a renaissance of artists of my generation putting on their own work. And you have to figure out how to kind of break through. And there's been, I think, this shift where it's been like, I don't know, at least speaking from my own experience, I'm way more excited if you're telling me that you're doing some play in some place in Brooklyn that I've never been to with like great actors than maybe a show at a theater I've been to in Midtown a million times.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
I'm like, oh yeah, let's go to that. And I think you've seen it in like a ticket buying audience too, that it's exciting. People are excited to be like, what am I going to see? This thing here. And it does create a little bit of an event. And it's hard to manufacture. I think I've sat on many market, like everyone would like everything they're doing to be an event, like all the time. Like no one doesn't want everyone wants what they're doing to be an event.
Nobody's trying to like not sell tickets or have nobody come to something.
Of course.
Yes.
But I suppose I've just been fortunate that some of the stuff I've done has been in venues that have been like weird and idiosyncratic, that people have been excited about it. You know, we did well. You go for the first time at the Irondale, which is a space like I've seen a bunch of shows at, but was new to a lot of audience members, and it's a beautiful kind of decaying church space in Fort Greene.
I was looking at this thing on because there was some Reddit stuff about like the show and everything like that, and everyone's like, I always feel like the roof is gonna cave in.
You totally.
At any given minute. But
which,
they were like, but
that's my kind of space.
Yes.
That's where there's like ghosts in there. That's where I want to go see a play.
Invite them.
You go to like theaters that were built like, you know, recently, and they're like soulless. I feel like there's no. I love being
looking at you at the Palace. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, it's like I mean, it's true. I don't really want to take an escalator to see a play.
And the thing
that's
is,
not part of the experience.
I want to go down. I want it to be a little funky smelling.
Yeah.
You do. You want a little bit of grittiness, especially with kind of I think the theater that we're talking about. And I think like you said, it's the space is almost a character. Yeah. And then when you do these small spaces, do you ever find like the scarcity is what makes them special? Like that there's only then a handful of people that got to see Uncle Vanya, and then everybody else only got to hear about it. And like there's only a handful of people that got to experience these shows.
And if I were less honest, I would tell you that I knew that from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I stumbled on that truth. Because initially it was like, well, this is where we're going to do the play and we can seat 40 people. And that feels like... when I was turning out, I was like, that's great. I was like, we can probably get that many people in here. You know what I mean? Like at
40
least
sounds doable.
When we were announcing Uncle Vanya the day before we were going to announce it, we were doing it during the SAG strike. And it was a bunch of actors who were around that summer, and we all loved the play, and we thought, let's just work on this with each other. And everyone made $1,000 who worked on that show for the whole thing. Like it was like there was no money, and we were like, we're just gonna put on a play for us. And I remember telling our producer Oliver Roth, who was doing that show the night before we went on sale, I was like, listen, I've kind of like twisted your arm into doing this play with me. Sure. Whatever happens tomorrow when we put these tickets on sale happens. Like we have like 2 months, we will sell them. Like it's not that many.
Like you were
seats.
already like apologizing for.
I was like, I don't know who's gonna come and see this, but like there's so few seats. This is costing you nothing. We'll figure it out. And the show sold out within like a handful of hours, and we were like, oh my god! And it did teach me something. I was like, oh. To everyone else, there's this perception of this as like a hit, and like you're sold out all the time, and it's going so great. And I'm like, well, yeah, because we have 10. You know, there's like 4 seats in here. Sure. Like anyone could be sold out. Yeah. Every Broadway show could be sold out if you only sat 100 people.
Was for 40.
Yeah, whatever it was. So, but it did teach me something about marketing, and it. People love a show they can't get into.
They love anything. I 100% agree. I always said if I opened a restaurant, it would be 2 tables.
Yeah.
And there would always be a line so that people were like, what is that?
Yeah.
I'll serve you a fucking grilled cheese sandwich, but you're going to want it because everybody's outside.
Totally.
Because there's no room inside.
Yeah. And then, you know, it's whenever there's a perception that you can kind of like always go, and whenever you want to go, you can go. It doesn't create any urgency.
Yes.
But, you know, if you hear it's like 40 seats a night and it's 3 weeks only, when those tickets goes on sale,
you buy them.
You giddy up.
You giddy up.
Yeah.
You for sure giddy up. Okay. This is going to be kind of like a question that is a little bit like basic, but I think also maybe I've never even heard the answer to. Like, what actually is the role of a director in a show? Like, what are all your responsibilities? And going from small space to bigger space, like say with Well, I'll Let You Go.
Sure.
Do those responsibilities change with the space, with finances, anything like that? Like, what actually are your duties, and do they change?
That's a great question. I will keep my like producer hat off for like I will talk about it like strictly from
the
a director, which is
okay,
what I'm hoping to mostly just be.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the chief audience member. Like I am like, I am representing throughout the rehearsal process like what someone watching this play is going to experience and like crafting that experience for them.
Yeah.
So I the director is hiring everyone, most everyone, hiring all the creatives on the show, the actors, the designers. I speaking for me, I'm very kind of choosy and picky about like the shows I work on. So part of my job, I feel like, is always like reading plays and trying to find something that I feel excited by and that will push and challenge me as a director. I'm trying to not do the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I'm in the kind of pre-production process for The Saviors, which is the next play I'm doing with Bubba. So we've been working on that play for like 2 years.
Right.
Bubba sent me the play. I was immediately excited by it. We gathered friends and did a reading of it in like a borrowed space just to hear the play out loud, and have been kicking around thoughts and ideas on that play over email and over drinks, over steaks.
Sounds rough. Sounds rough.
Well, we need to
go eat steak and go talk about The Saviors.
Cozy Royale in Williamsburg, which is
Cozy Royale.
Bubba and I's favorite place to have a meeting. They have a great happy hour martini and burger special that we would go and sit at the bar and have. So not quite steaks. Every once in a while we would splurge, but mostly it was the happy
a burger
hour
and a martini is
yeah.
That's a perfect night.
And we did a lot of development there.
A lot of martini developing.
Yeah. And so then it became about so we were developing the script.
Yeah.
Figuring out who we might want to work on it on the design part of it.
Interesting.
We sent that play around. It has kind of fallen into not second position, but while I'll let you go, we started working on that play too, and that one ended up happening first.
Yeah.
So we've been thinking about The Saviors for a really long time. We thought we were maybe going to do it in a church. And then the Atlantic Theater graciously offered to give us a home. So
Which
now we're doing
an
it
old
with
church.
them.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about.
And so now I've been in kind of months of conversations with set, costume, lighting, and sound designers about what this show is going to look like.
Yeah.
We look at researches. The set designer builds a model. That is often something that needs to happen early for me.
And that comes before actors. That comes before you even know who's going to be in the space.
Well before actors.
Wow.
And
okay.
I mean, not always, but in this case, it was well before actors.
Yeah.
I mean, Grangeville, the play I did at Signature Theater, Sam Hunter's play last year, that play started performances in February, and I think the set was designed by August. We submitted them, like the drawings, like it was done.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
So it happens usually well in advance, often because scene shops need time to build things, they need time to price things out. It's a long process. So a director is kind of putting together a team where I like to kind of all be in the room as much as possible. So just yesterday, all the designers and I were in a room, and we kind of talked through the whole play. Yeah. And went like, okay, this moment, who it needs to be snowing outside. What implications does that have on the costumes? What do we hear when the door opens and we hear snow? How heavy is the door? Does it get blown shut? Like all of that kind of detail.
Such little, like that's such stuff that, like, again, as an audience member, you would never think about like how many decisions are made from a door when you 100%. See it. Do you know what I mean? Like I would never be like, wow, that door is probably heavy because, you know what I mean? But it's I guess that is
sometimes
what
the door
you have
isn't
to
heavy,
do.
right? Like sometimes you can't afford the heavy door. So it's like a cheap door, and then we're maybe playing a sound that makes it sound heavier than it is. So suddenly like the door is a sound designer's,
But the
deal.
door requires a meeting.
Yeah.
There's a whole talk about the door.
Totally. We had talked for like 30 minutes about candles today.
Right.
Like that was a big part of the meeting. So you're crafting, just thinking about, okay, so this scene is Tuesday night, the next scene is Wednesday morning. The same character is in both scenes, and there's no time in between, and he's played by a 13-year-old. Like, how is he changing clothes? And who is helping him change clothes? And like, what do we need to know about helping a minor change clothes backstage?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
all
of these things that you wouldn't think about.
Sure.
So that's part of being a director.
You have to think of everything. You have to every single part of the thing is on you.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And now,
it's a lot.
you start to get ready for rehearsal, which I start in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I try to plan just enough. I don't know everything that's going to happen. In my mind, there are like goalposts, maybe images of like, okay, in this scene, which is maybe 20 minutes long, this picture would be beautiful. Like this kind of like this guy sitting there, him sitting there, light coming that way. That would be beautiful. We'll probably hit it for like 5 seconds. And how we get there and how we get out of it, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But that's enough for me to start. I
Right.
don't love to kind of write all the blocking down beforehand. I find I usually like the ideas aren't that good. So I like to kind of be informed, have as much knowledge as I can, and then start the rehearsal room and be like, all right, where would you go? Let's follow your impulses, and then maybe I'll sneakily be leading you to an idea that I have, or I'll throw that away. And then you rehearse.
Yeah.
We're continuing to develop the play. We're layering in elements of design throughout rehearsal. Maybe we're having fittings, people are trying on their clothes. And then we have tech where everyone kind of, everything meets, they're on stage. And it becomes, for a few days, really about kind of lighting and sound and scenic
Those
and
are long
costumes.
days, those
And
tech days.
They are.
They're long days.
Shorter than they used to be, but
That's
still.
good to hear.
The director is there. I'm usually there. You know, the actors, it's like a 10-hour day. For everyone else, it's like a 12-hour.
Even if they're like for minors, are there any like laws about those hours or anything
we
like that?
just decided that we need to have a meeting about this.
There you go.
Like the answer is yes, and what they are, I don't know. When we were
We're
all
not
like, we
sure.
talk about this,
We're gonna
but
figure it
they're
out.
being tutored for the first part of the day.
Right. Oh, so wild.
Yeah, there's a whole
whole
thing
protocol.
that comes with
There's
that.
a whole protocol. No, you kind of just tapped on something that I actually was interested in as a director. Like when you're saying like if the actors are kind of feeling something, because I always wonder with a play and you're the director and there's a playwright, like how much of the playwright's interpretation do you are you open to, or even the actors? If the actors are like, you know what, I'm not feeling it this way, are you like, oh, fired, or you're like, no, let's talk about this?
I feel like intensely collaborative in that way.
Great.
I got this advice from a teacher of mine, Dan Safer, when I was a freshman in college, which was to always be the dumbest person in any room that you are in. And I really try to live by that. So I try to surround myself with people that are much smarter than me, which is a low bar. But I am like a best idea wins kind of a guy. Like I feel like if we're butting up against some sort of problem, something's not working, we can't figure out a transition. There was something even just in Well, I'll Let You Go when we were redoing it. There was just a bit of text in a scene that an actress was like, I've never been able to nail this, because I actually
just don't feel comfortable. Like it's just not my
she was
mouth
like, I
doesn't
see what
work
you're
around
trying
it.
to do.
Yeah.
Intellectually, I understand how this person goes from A to B, and in this case was someone who gets kind of quite angry over a short period of time. And I'm doing it, and I'm doing it, but it feels false to me, and I've always felt like it felt false to me.
Wow.
And we kind of were like, great, because that's what kind of re-rehearsing this play was, which was like,
Yeah.
what did everyone felt like? What did everyone feel like they kind of just had to like swallow the first time around, that they never kind of got quite right, that they were like, no, whatever, and we got to fix all those things. And in this case, it was Bubba going, you know what? Let's rewrite these like 4 lines and just like give you a
interesting.
different on-ramp and give you a little bit. You actually maybe need a little bit more text. You're being asked to like act with not enough words.
Like go to 0 to 100.
Yeah, you don't have enough words to get you there. This should be, and
Very
then
cool.
I think I helped make it a little bit more overlappy. I was like, maybe you guys are kind of talking more on top of each other. You're actually listening to her less. That you're just kind of steamrolling in. And that I'm working with a great scenic designer, David Zinn, on The Saviors. And David just yesterday had like a genius thought about sound in a transition. And so I am like, I love a process where we're all kind of in agreement about the story we're telling, and the kind of an experience we're excited about for an audience. And at the end of the day, I know that person kind of has to tend to the clothes, and that person has to tend to the way the lights look. But anyone can feel free to speak up about anything.
Yeah.
And I find actors are often the like smartest people in the room because they also
Sure.
have to do it. Like
Yeah.
it's in their body. The show is the actors. Like everyone else leaves. Like if you were to go see Well I'll Let You Go tonight, it is there only because those actors showed up
They're
and are
there.
like doing this.
Yeah.
Any note I had like is embodied in them.
Yeah.
So when they are like, I don't know about that.
You listen.
I tend to listen.
Yeah.
And that's also, I also try to cast really smart actors. Because there are also people that sometimes I'm like, I've worked with or in workshops or whatever you get to know, and you're like, I don't know if you know, I don't know if I trust your taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I try to surround myself with people whose taste I think is really excellent.
Well, because you collaborate with some of the same people. Like I know there's
Yeah.
an actress. It looks like I think I've seen you collaborate with an actress, Julia Chan, a lot.
Yeah.
And with Bubba, obviously, this is your second
Yeah.
time. What is it in collaborators that makes you go, I'm in on this. Whatever else you want to bring me, I'm in on it. Or did you and Bubba did you see these two shows at the same time and do it? Or are you guys friends? Or
We went
how
to
does that come
college
about?
together,
Oh,
Bubba
fun.
and I. Bubba was a senior when I was a freshman, and he was my playwriting TA.
Oh, wow.
So I've known him a long time,
Yeah.
but we kind of, he was an upperclassman. I was
Yeah.
not close to him when we
Yeah.
were in college. We really rekindled in the last few years when he had seen some of my plays and sent me The Saviors and was like, I'd be interested in working on this with you. But so that's kind of how that friendship came to be. But I love working with the same people again and again. I
Right.
kind of pride myself on it. Especially this lighting designer Stacy DeRozier has lit every single one of the shows I've done in New York.
That's
and
awesome.
That's true for most of the designers I'm working with. We've done multiple shows together. I love the shorthand. I think when you find your people, it's good to kind of hold on to them. I find that like these people are maybe obsessed with the same things that I'm obsessed with. The hang is good, and that's like
A good
such a
hang
big part of
is
this.
so important.
Yeah.
You need to, like, people that you can work with is great. People you can hang with is way better.
Well, and also you spend so much time
Yes, you do.
with these people.
It's a lot in a short amount of time to be with somebody who's a dick.
Yeah, and
Can't do it.
no one's making enough money. Like,
No.
there's just no one. It's not that serious. Like for
No.
you to be a dick. It's just, and not that making money would make it okay, but it's just like we're.
You're not above me. We're all working on the same,
Well,
you know?
and also like we're talking about plays too. Like my plays, we're talking about making a play in a basement for 40 people a night.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it's just not that serious. And
Yeah.
also, I mean, to me it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it also
of
it is
course,
like
yeah. But it's like you
the,
don't need to try to big time
fullness
this.
of
Yeah.
my artistic expression. But also, I am aware that like we're making a play in a basement. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if you have to go home early to tend to your son, then like that's right. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Correct.
that is more important.
Yes.
Julia Chan, is just one of those people. David Cromer in Ireland, Yuli Schlesinger, a bunch of people who I've had the great fortune of working with a couple of times that we just got on like gangbusters the first time,
Yeah.
and are the kind of people that will go get a drink and just be like, what do we want to do? Like, what else do you want to do? So many
Yeah.
of the plays that I have done have started from an idea with an actor that we've said, wouldn't it be great to do that with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
What do you want to do that play? What gets us excited about doing that? And then we build around that. It's very, very rare that I'm able to start a process and not have like any idea who's going to be in the play.
Interesting.
Sometimes that happens.
Sure.
The Saviors is an total example of that.
Well, because like you
actually.
said, your Savior's obviously about altar boys, and so you do want children. So I'm sure you're
Yeah.
not like, I don't have a ton of children actors that I've used. Or
I don't know
teenager
many
actors that I've used.
13-year-old actors.
Right.
So we had to have a process.
Yeah, you had to go find
and
some.
found these two extraordinary kids.
Kid actors are so wild. They're like so serious.
The process of auditioning that show was really eye-opening. 'Cause
I bet.
We saw probably like 70 or 80 tapes of kids,
a lot.
and then brought maybe like 10 or 12 in that we met
Yeah.
in person and called back. I think that's probably right. But there was, it is unsurprising to me that we cast two kids that worked the room at the auditions the least. We got a lot of like kids coming right up to the table, shaking everyone's hand, like super polished. They did everything right. Like there's that's not a value judgment on that, but they were trained within an inch of their life. You know, knew Neil Pepe, who runs the Atlantic, is also a wonderful director in his own right. And this one like 12-year-old kid came in and auditioned for us, and at the end of audition came right up to Neil and was like, I just want to say how much I loved American Buffalo on Broadway and how wonderful I thought your direction of that play was. And we were like, American Buffalo? Like, how do you even, like, you're 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then one of the boys we cast, we were workshopping the play at the Atlantic, and there's all these David Mamet posters on the wall because they've done a lot of his work.
Sure.
And he came into the rehearsal room and was like, who's Mamet? And we were like, what do you mean? He's like, all those posters say Mamet on it.
You're, what is this?
And I was like, that's our guy.
That's the guy we
That's our
want.
guy. That's
Yeah.
our guy who is extraordinary and hasn't been told by the whole world how extraordinary he is, and is going to be honest and truthful, and came into the room and was like, yeah, where do you want me to stand? Like, what would you like to see from me today?
That's so interesting, because you hear these stories of like of both sides, right? Of people like don't come in unprepared, and now this is like don't be over prepared. It's very interesting, but it all again it's I guess it's like, you know, on the other side, if like as somebody who is auditioning, it's like you just never know. I guess just go in and just do your best. Like you don't know, you know.
I want to know who you are. Like
That's the thing.
I'm looking for a person.
Yes.
Like and it's very hard in auditions because like there is nerves. Like there's a power imbalance in the room, right? Like you are coming in to present. Like I have the power to give you a job, I guess, right? That you want. And so it's not us talking in a bar. Like there is a kind of stakes to it. And yet I am most excited by like, who is this actor? Like, who are you? What are you interested in? Like, I love when we get to talk, when someone asks questions.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes those, like, we also had other kids that came in that were fantastic.
Right.
That just weren't right. You know, that just like our imagination of what this role wasn't who they are. And that's part of it.
Yeah.
But those are the actors I'm most excited by.
Yeah.
And I think those are the actors that I can see audiences sometimes get the most excited by too, because the role and them are so close to each other. You really feel like, boy, this is just, you're watching an extraordinary performance, because this person is not, you're not watching the like labor go into the kind of architecting of a character.
Yeah. You're just watching somebody like kind of be there.
Yeah, exactly right.
And I think that's I mean, and well, I'll let you go, because like you feel that in the actors in that show too, because it is so well acted. I remember watching it being like, oh, I know a version of every single one of these people. And that's what I think is very fascinating to watch about it, because you're like, I know her, I know him, I know this dynamic. And it was just like, you know, I'm glad that you guys got the transfer, because you had a sold-out run at Irondale.
We did.
And then you moved it to this Studio CV that we talked about that is a little bit bigger. Was there anything that you had to, I mean, besides like I think some of the, obviously space-wise, but like, was there anything that you were changing, or anything that, any other direction given to the actors when we move spaces? Like, do you guys have to do then a run through in a bigger space, like before you go in there? What were like the changes that you had to make?
Well, first of all, to your earlier point, it's maybe one of the like greatest acting ensembles I've had the privilege of working with.
It's a masterclass.
I mean, they are extraordinary, and they are all actors that I grew up, like that I have come up in New York seeing in work and admiring from afar. And the fact that they're all in the same show together is incredible to me. And and they're all like New York theater actors. They are not like, these are not celebrity, like they are celebrities to me.
Yeah.
But when we transferred, I was so like paralyzed with fear about transferring this. It just felt like we were begging people to like not like it as much as they did the first time, because it had gone so well the first time.
Yeah.
That it felt like boys, if it's in a kind of proper theater, like if we Michael Chernus, who originated the role of the narrator in the play, has a TV show. He's on Severance and wasn't gonna be able to join us, and we cast this great actor Matt Mayer, but it was like he's new. Like it just felt like we were mixing with the like alchemy of what had gone right the first time. Would it still hold?
Yeah.
And Studio CV was a proscenium space. It went from having, two audience on two sides in a kind of long alley configuration in Brooklyn to we were moving it to a kind of traditional proscenium space. And how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
How was this all going to work? So the first thing to crack was the design of the show. And the big thing for us is there's normally a stage in Studio CV that's about 3 feet off the ground. So you walk in and the performance is happening kind of slightly elevated.
Yeah.
We tore that out so that when you walk in, you were on the same level of kind of playing, the same kind of stage level as the actors are, and as well as the first row of audience.
Okay.
Which was true at Irondale, and it felt like, well, we can preserve that. We took out the back 2 rows of the theater and moved those seats on stage and put audience on 3 sides.
Yep.
And I think what we found in doing all of that, which Irondale was extraordinary and beautiful, but it was really big, and the play was a little swallowed in that space. It was hard to hear at times. Sight lines were tricky, and it felt like we had designed. It's just a more focused production, I think, this go around. It takes up a smaller. It's kind of ironic. There's more audience members, but the footprint of the show is smaller.
Wow.
And they're mic'd very beautifully by our great sound designer, Brandon Bowles, that it's almost imperceptible, but what you perceive is that you're hearing everyone, and it allows for like a level of naturalistic acting that does not need to push.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of, those are the big things we were thinking about in moving into that space. It's just like, how does it sit in the room? There's this narrator character. He's talking to us the whole time. It felt like he needs to have easy access to us. It doesn't want to just feel presentational that he's up on a stage and you're in the room. Like that's part of the reason we put the audience on stage, is that he's able to kind of
he interacts a lot. Like he kind of like it's like gives
he talks to us.
He talks to us. Yeah.
And then he sits down next to you, and then he watches the play with you. He's kind of one of you, and we wanted to preserve that feeling.
Yeah.
And there was just this dumb question when we were looking at it in proscenium when the play was there and we were here. We were just like, well, where does he go? Like I was like, he's not talking the whole. Like, what does he do when he's not in the play? And that for me was always like sit in the audience.
Yeah.
And when you take that away from him, it just felt like suddenly he's in the stage picture all the time in a way that we didn't want. We wanted him to kind of disappear in moments. So, but we had 2 weeks to re-rehearse the play.
Okay.
And, we started that rehearsal process just by saying, what does everyone want to work on? Like what I have things I'm looking to crack, but you as actors, what didn't you guys feel like you nailed? Like, let's start there. And then we were also restaging it. Like that most of that time was spent figuring out, it was a different floor plan. Like, how do we get from there to there? Last time you got up there, does that still feel right? People move around less than they did at Irondale.
Wow. Yeah.
I just had to keep turning people, like you just couldn't see them unless they just had to keep moving.
Sure.
Because the room was so big that your back would be to like 50 people unless they kept moving. And so much of that blocking felt a little bit like theater blocking to me. Like if you and I were sitting having a conversation, I would not be moving around that much. Yeah. And now we could just like, things could settle. Just way more.
Did that change the energy at all?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it changed how the actors attack it. I think it maybe changed how we hear the play a little bit. Like I'm excited by like 2 people acting their faces off at a folding table in folding chairs with like fluorescent lights on.
Yes.
And the fact that we can sit in that for longer before anyone has to move feels to me like that to me is theater I get really excited about, because the play is actually kind of happening in between you and I, which is that we've told you that these people are in like a kitchen at a glass top table. But really, they're at a folding table and it's square and like it's.
And this couch is covered in dog hair, but they're chairs.
Yeah, but it's folding chairs.
Yeah.
And suddenly, like the play is happening in your imagination. It's happening like it's a agreement that you're making with the actors in the play, which is like, okay, I'm gonna meet you in the middle and imagine this.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite kind of theater. It feels like it has to be theater. You know, it is something that can exist only in this form.
Yeah.
So if it's changed the energy, I think it's allowed us to just dig deeper and to kind of sit in silences longer, to kind of sit in the beautiful drama of the play even more.
Yeah.
I think I think it's just a clearer, crisper, more focused production than it was in Irondale.
Yeah, and I love that, and it's a fantastic show, and it has kind of like you said, we spoke about marketing a little bit before, and like it kind of had this like word of mouth type thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about that, but in general, like a show like this that became, again, like we talked about scarcity, but like how does something get seen? How does something become a must see? Like how does that happen?
You know,
Do you find?
I suppose if I had like one answer to that, I'd
Yeah.
be a very rich man.
I think
like
we'd all
you know
be
what I mean?
rich
Like
men,
I feel like there
yes.
are people in marketing meetings for plays all around the city
Sure.
now just being like, their idea is that it's a must-see play.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm like, oh, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
sign me up.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pretend to know. What I can share from my own experience is I do think, maybe naively, that we do live in a bit of a meritocracy, even if it doesn't feel that way on Broadway sometimes. Because I think there are so many examples of great work on big stages that doesn't get to be seen by everyone.
Sure.
But I do believe in the fact that if you work with great actors, if you have a great story to tell, if you make something exciting, people will want to come and see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's that. I mean, people don't go to the theater because it's good for them. And I sometimes talk to folks that aren't in the theater and they'll say something like, oh, I really should see more theater. I really, they talk about like medicine, right? Like that's something, it would be good for me to do that. And I think sometimes when a show is marketed as important, I bristle at that because I don't go to see something because I think it's important.
Sure.
When I think about like what gets me out, it's someone being like, you just have to go. Like go
I
see
can't
this,
even
like,
describe it.
Yeah, I don't want
Just
to talk
go.
about it, like, is this person, maybe you know someone in it who you've had a great experience with before, and they're like, you just gotta go. Like you go because someone is excited about it. And maybe there's themes in it that you're excited about. Maybe there's actors, maybe an artist you're following, but it is someone going to you being like, you just got to go see this.
It's a sense of urgency.
Yeah, I don't go
Yes.
to you and say like, this is really important work that's happening. I mean, and maybe it is. Like, I don't think those
Right.
things are mutually exclusive.
No, yeah.
But I think something reaches someone and they're able to connect with someone else and that they're excited by it. And I think, must-see theater can be in a big Broadway barn, or it can be in a 40-seat basement. Like,
yeah.
And also, just because something's in a 40-seat basement doesn't mean it is must-see theater.
Sure.
Like that. And certainly, there's been plenty of examples of big Broadway shows that are certainly not must-see theater. Like,
sure.
None of those are prerequisites, but I do think, what can I say that's practical? I do think. I've had the great fortune of working with this company called Regular People, led by Jacob Stuckelman and Andrew Patino, who I did Danger and Opportunity with, and they have done both iterations of I'll Let You Go, and they also did the marketing for my play Clarkston. And I think they have certainly tapped into an understanding of like social media and marketing in a way that my projects have benefited from. I think like
you guys had that like cryptic poster for Well Let You Go.
Yeah, we first announced the show. We just like teased everyone for a while.
Yeah, because I saw the Reddit thread and people were like, "What is this? I saw his other show, and what is this?"
Yeah.
And people were like, "Tickets are on sale. It's the show." It's like, and it was a very fun little like. It was a lot of excitement, kind of, and people were like, "This looks like they're dropping an indie album or something like that." Like people were very excited about the way that it was released, and and I sit here, we talk to people, and somebody was like, we have to kind of embrace social media as part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're kind of, it's like, we must. That's how things are happening.
Well, and just thinking outside the box. Like,
yes.
I think most shows are not events. Like, most plays are not like the talk of the town, right? Like, if they were, then everything would be the talk of the town.
Yeah.
So you can't market a show. What am I trying to say? I guess what I'm trying to say is if your hope is for people to talk about your show uniquely. I think you must market and produce it uniquely.
Yeah.
And that if you're just going to kind of post the same thing, going to follow a marketing strategy that is familiar and well-worn, I think you will find the response to it familiar. And
That's such a good point.
I think what Andrew
You're not
and
going to
Jacob's,
do anything different. You're not going to get anything different.
That's right. And I was so like kind of nervous about like, we're going to announce the play, but not what it's about. I was like, you guys, I was like, this is embarrassed. Like, I was like, people are going to make fun of us for this, you know? And
No, Reddit was like, ah!
I know. And everyone was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And maybe some of these people were like, what the fuck is going, like, what do they think they're doing? But we sold a shit ton of tickets before anyone knew what that play even was, just because it felt like something that they were excited to see because of the way they market it.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't always work. You know what I mean? Like that works so well. I'll let you go on this project.
Try.
And when
you
we were bringing this back,
something.
we had to, you know, we're still trying to figure out how to. We
Yeah.
had a lot more seats to sell this time around. You know what I mean? Like it's running longer, more performances a week, and a lot more seats a night. Like, and that level of guerrilla marketing, you know, can't always, you know, we can't sell thousands of seats that way.
I know. And so when it comes to marketing, though, is marketing like an out-of-pocket thing for you and Bubba, or is it like in the budget of the whole thing? Like when it comes to marketing, how much of it is like, okay,
I mean, this
Jack,
go around,
I need
like,
some cash.
I'm like beautifully out of those conversations. Like
Great.
I'm like,
Great. I'm doing doors. I'm doing doors and snow. You guys do marketing and
I'm
money.
like, I'm gonna figure out how to help this actor get more angry over this like period of time. And
yeah,
like,
I'm rewriting a scene. You guys get people to see the scene.
It's been a real joy
Okay,
to
cool.
kind of find Andrew and Jacob in that way, to just
Yeah.
be like, you handle that. I care deeply about like what the art for a show looks like, and they know that. Like I want to be a part of like what the vibe is. If you're using music, let me help you kind of pick what that is. You know, I want to be a part of that, but like I'm gonna follow. My dream is to not have to worry about those things.
That's great. Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
And unfortunately, because I've done it for so long, I'm used to having an opinion about it.
Right. Well,
But-
because like you said, you're also on the producing side, so it is also your money in the production, and you have a stake in it besides just the product. You're like you have a stake in kind of every
You're
part
marketing
of it.
the thing I'm making.
Yeah.
You know, like you're
Don't fuck it up.
representing the show that I'm a part of making.
Yeah.
So I, you know, and also I may have some insight to help you. You know, like I may have some ideas that can help you, and then you may have some ideas that help me.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be happier to like have no idea how much money they're spending on marketing. Like I have no idea how any of that is happening.
Great.
I did when I was like doing my first shows, but the marketing then was like I'm posting on Instagram and we made up a flyer.
Yeah. You're like now you're like I have a Canva thing and I just posted that. So that's great that you don't have to be part of that anymore. Now I want to know, okay, again, with things of like why something becomes must see, or even just like how something gets made. If you were to tell someone at say the Boston Teen Acting Troupe, the space that you are the founder of,
my company.
Yes, want to throw that in there.
Yeah,
but
I use that word company very loosely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
In no sense a legal term.
But it's a space that you kind of created for teens and stuff like that. But if you were to go in and they were to be like, Jack, how do I get something seen? How do I do this? How do I make a show?
Yeah.
What would you say? How does a show get made?
People, it's a conversation I find myself having every so often because folks reach out and we get coffee and the answer for me, like, I was addicted and really passionate about theater, and it's like I just struggle to say that word because it's true, but also I'm like, Jesus Christ, like what am I doing? What a thing I've done to myself. But I really do love it.
Yeah.
And I have had, and they happen infrequently.
Sure.
But maybe once a year, or maybe twice a year, an experience seeing a play or going to the theater that is transcendent. And it is unlike anything else in my life that I go like, that's what I want to do. That the feeling that created inside of me was such that I've dedicated my life to it. And that I have dedicated my life. I could be doing other things and probably making more money doing those things.
Sure.
Like when my roommate worked in tech, when we both graduated school, you know, he as like a 22-year-old was making six figures, you know, and that, you know, haven't reached that reality for myself yet, and he's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
But he is pursuing what he is passionate about, and I am pursuing what I am passionate about.
Yeah.
And so I think when I started, I didn't know or care if it would be successful.
Sure.
I was frustrated that I wasn't making theater. I started producing my own work because I just wanted to be a part of it so badly.
Yeah.
And of course I wanted it to go well.
Yeah.
But I'm here because I can't do it. Like, I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
I mean, I get it.
And I think if you can, you should. I would recommend that.
Yes.
But I don't know how you can be successful, but what I can help you do is follow your passion.
Yeah.
That, like, I can tell you that I wanted this so badly.
Yeah.
That for most of the shows, I was building the sets myself. I would show up every night and be the wardrobe supervisor and, like, steam out the clothes and do the laundry because we didn't have any money to pay for that person, and I wanted the show to happen. And
that's hard work.
And I'm working with more senior actors, and their clothes should smell good, and, like, I want them to keep wanting to work with me.
Yeah.
So I think an ecosystem built on passion is a beautiful one. So if you should tell the story that you want to tell, like the thing that you are. I'm home frustrated that, like, no one's doing this, because that's what was the animating quality in me, was that I felt like I had artistic points of view. I had stories I wanted to tell. I was frustrated by what was happening around me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people that are, like, coming to see my plays and are like, why the fuck is he making, like, that are frustrated with me, and they're like, that is so boring. And those people should go and make the work. You know what I mean? Like, because I have those artists, like, I have those people that I was like, how is this guy continuing to work?
Yes.
Like, who likes this? And people did.
And people do, yeah.
But I didn't, and I went and tried to put into the world what I wanted to see. So I think that's the thing I kind of tell people the most, is like, what are the things you have to do? Because you will work hardest at that.
And like you were saying at the beginning, and then call on your resources.
Yes.
If you don't have the funds, find a place where do you have a basement? Do you have a living room? Do you, like, can you rent I think that was a really good call to action of, like, hey, if this is really what you want to do, if you want things getting made, it's going to have to be a grassroots effort on your part. If you don't have $100,000 to buy this, if you don't have these things, you need to call on your resources, call on your favors, get the shit you want, and go do it.
I am a scammer. Like,
scam.
That practical advice, that's what I can give people. Like, when people are producing their play,
learn
and
how
they're
to do
like,
every
hey,
part of it too.
How did you get insurance for this show? I'll be like, you got to call this person. Like, that stuff I love helping people with.
Sure.
And then just going, like, where do I go and get this? I'm going to produce a show. How did you do it? What equity contract did you use? We did it on a showcase code, and then we did this. And this is the person you should call at equity. She will help you. This is who I called. And like, scam and steal, I can't tell you. I interned in theaters around the city and would sit at those internships and quietly stow away, like, every email of, like, someone I think maybe at some point I wanted to work with. I would be like, that's an actor I'd like to, like, one day. And
you were mentally
take that email.
making your list.
Yeah, what playwrights can I steal their email and ask for a cup of coffee? The first show I did in New York, this play called This Beautiful Future, like, every part of it was like, the microphones were borrowed from a theater, the flats were borrowed from another theater. It was just like, everyone is in this together. People love supporting other artists.
But you do got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
you just got to start it.
You have to want to do it.
You have to want to do it.
And then I can tell you how to.
And you can figure out how to do it if you want to do it.
How to work a box office, what ticketing platform to sell your tickets on that I think takes the least amount of a fee, how to start an LLC. Like, all that stuff is that we can work on together. Like, I can help someone with that. But those things alone do not make something a must-see show.
You gotta have it in you to be like, this has to be seen, and I will figure out a way to do it regardless of what I have access to.
It also protects yourself from the criticism. Like, that.
For sure.
the first show I did in New York, this play, This Beautiful Future, I remember getting to opening night, and it was the middle of the Omicron wave of COVID. Stuff was shutting down. It was
yeah.
We didn't know if this was like even going to happen at that point. Like,
Yeah.
and it was one of the carpenters that I had found to help me build this had gotten COVID, and so I was building it myself. It was so hard to get it there. But we got there. We replaced an actor. I'm just thinking of all the crazy things that went wrong.
Yeah.
And once it was up and open, I could say, and I remember looking to Stacey, our lighting designer, and we were like, this is the show we wanted to make. Like,
After all of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
the show. We have made the exact thing we intended to make, and we are proud of that. And then if you didn't like it, plenty of people didn't. I was like, well, then that's where our taste is different. You
And
know what I
that's
mean?
it, yeah.
Like, I made the thing I really wanted to make, and I'm proud of it. And if you don't like it, then that's okay. I go through the world not liking stuff all the time.
Sure.
But I think it is hard when you don't feel like inoculated in that way, when like you don't believe in it. And I have worked on workshops and small things where I've
Yeah.
had to say no because I was like, I'm not going to be able to.
It's not for me.
Yeah, and also, you don't want me to work on it. If I can't find my way
Yeah.
into it, like you also don't want me to work on it.
Yeah. I got to feel into it.
But I do think that belief, you have to be able to fall back on that belief because it gets fucking hard. You know, like there are real low moments, and that belief doesn't comfort you so much.
know.
But like at least you can be like, well, I think I like this.
Yeah, but you have to be like, I can do nothing else. As a
Yeah.
creative, you're like, that's, I think, the driving factor. Jack, you're amazing. Well, I'll let you go with Still Playing until June 20th. And please go see it because it is just, again, it is a masterclass. And it was so cool to watch. It was just such a good show. And I have one final question for you.
Yes.
Just kind of a funsy one.
Great.
Your last meal on earth,
Oh my God.
what is it? You can have a drink, you can have a dessert. What do you take? What is you're walking up the stairs. What's happening?
What a great question. It's steak au poivre
Oh, yeah.
with like great skinny crispy French fries.
Ooh, okay.
And maybe a little mayo on the side.
For the fries?
For the fries.
I was going to
yeah,
say,
not for
don't
the
you
steak.
put that on a
no,
fucking
no, no,
steak.
No,
Don't you
I'm
do
a
that,
monster.
Jack.
Maybe a little mayo, maybe a little chipotle mayo.
Ooh.
And a paper plane to drink. That's my go-to drink.
A dessert?
Oh, I guess we're picking out.
You can. You're done after this meal.
I'm having a really good ice cream sandwich in between two chocolate chip cookies.
Have you ever had an It's-It?
No, what is that?
Oh, God, okay. From San Francisco. It's like it's first off, the cookie's like the size of your head. It's an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie.
Oh, wow.
Thick. And then usually it's chocolate chip or mint chocolate chip ice cream. Then another
Wow.
one, and then it's all coated in a chocolate. But it is.
Oh my God! Yeah,
If
that
you
would.
can get your hands
that'll
on
be
an-
my. If I have that and
on
a
an
steak au
It's-It?
poivre, it will be my last meal.
If you can get your
I
hands.
will be in cardiac arrest. That's great.
It is the best ice cream sandwich, out of San Francisco. But if you can get your hands on an It's-It at some time in this life, you must get an It's-It.
Okay, great.
Get an It's-It. But besides getting an It's-It, everyone, Jack, please tell
Yeah, get
people
your
where they can
tickets.
get your tickets and get your It's-It. But where can people follow you, find you, and obviously support? Well, I'll let you go. And then The Savior is going to be coming out when?
Yeah, The Saviors starts performances at the Atlantic Theater on July 8th. Please come.
Ooh,
Tickets are on sale
summer
now. It's got an
plans.
extraordinary company.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah, come and see it. It runs into August. I'm on Instagram. That's my only social media, really.
totally
I'm
acceptable.
At Jack Serio.
Okay.
Serio.
All right. And the rest of you, rate, review, subscribe, follow, tell your friends, leave us stars, do all the stuff that helps this podcast going. And we're now up and going on YouTube. So hi, nice to see you. Hi. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.